In this video, I'll explain what RAG or Retrieval Augmented Generation is. We'll run through a couple of examples, and at the end of the video, we'll walk through how to build your own RAG agent. So at a very high level, RAG is essentially telling an LLM to go and fetch some stuff before coming back to you with a response. So if you think about the typical experience using something like ChatGPT or Claude, you'll ask it a question, you'll give it a prompt, it will then go away and generate an answer for you. And sometimes that answer is a little bit out of date, perhaps hallucinated, not very accurate, not very useful. So RAG is basically a way of saying, before you come back with a response, go and check some stuff, look at some information that I give you before writing your response. So why might we want to do this? Well, if we give it some content, we give it some information to look at before generating a response, the response can be more accurate, it can be more personalized to us because we can give it our own data, and it can be up to date. So this solves some of the main problems that LLMs face. So how does it do this? Well, first we need to give it access to a data store. This could be an open data store like the internet, or it could be a closed one. We could give it access to our Google Drive, our Notion, our company CRM, whatever it might be, but we give it access to some kind of content. And we're then going to tell the LLM to reference that content store before coming back to us with a response. So a quick example. So this is life without RAG. Basically, if you went to GPT or an LLM and said, how should I grow my business? It's going to send that to the LLM, and the LLM is going to generate a response. And it's not going to be very helpful. I did this morning, and it said, strengthen your core offer, acquire more customers. Not very helpful. Now, life with RAG. If we then ask ChatGPT the same question, how should I grow my business? The LLM would first go to a content store where we might give it access to information from our Google Drive, our CRM, Google Sheets, our accounting software, our advertising channels. It can then look at that data and then come back with something slightly more helpful, like double down on this customer segment, increase budget on this campaign by X amount, implement recurring invoicing, blah, blah, blah. But things that are slightly more personalized to us, that's actually going to be more helpful. So you can immediately see the value of using RAG is that we get more personalized information that's going to actually help us. Now, when using RAG, we're not actually integrating our tools directly into the LLM. What we're doing is we're converting a bunch of information we have in these tools into a pile of numbers or vectors, and we're giving the LLM access to something called a vector store, which is basically just a database containing all those numbers which it can convert back into text. So this is a slightly more realistic version of what is going on. Let's say basically you have a bunch of docs. The first thing that we do with RAG is we're going to split that document into a bunch of chunks. Those chunks then get embedded, which just means converting the text into numbers, and they're embedded as vectors into a vector store. This is basically, as I said, just a database of numbers. The LLM then has access to this vector store, and it can essentially unscramble those numbers and understand what is in that document. So here's how this might look in practice. This is a really simple RAG agent that I've built in a tool called NAN. If you'd like to have a go at building a RAG agent, I'll link to a video in a moment where we'll walk through how to build something like this step by step. But at a very high level, we've got two parts to this. We've got the storage part and the retrieval part. So storage, very simply, all we're doing is we're taking files from a Google Drive and converting them into vectors and storing them in a vector store. This is using Superbase's vector store. Then, over here on the retrieval side, we've basically got a chatbot connected to an AI agent. That is just using OpenAI ChatGPT. And we've connected that AI agent to our Superbase vector store, and it's using the same embedding model to kind of unscramble the text. So when I ask this AI agent a message, it's now going to go to that vector store, look at all of the information, all the vectors, and before responding, it's going to search for any relevant content based on my query and then come back to me. So this is a very, very simple example of how you can actually build a RAG agent using a tool like NAN. Now, if you'd like to have a go at building a RAG agent like this, I'd recommend watching this video next.